What's up, guys? I am one of your hosts, Sprites. I'm joined with me, my good pal, my good friend, Maverick. It's not our typical intro that we try to do something silly, something funny, but we're just gonna keep it short this evening. Um, but it's still longer than the Call of Duty campaign. So, and the great words of Kratos.
Man, Christopher Judge. Oh man, Christopher Judge roasted the mess out of them. Man, it was great.
Hey, and how do you even combat that when he literally starts chuckling like he's Kratos? Like, I don't know if I've ever heard Kratos laugh before, but let me tell you, I mean, there's no. It doesn't matter how you feel about the joke. There's no like there's no trying to beef with it. When you hear a laugh like, like, what is this? What is this guy on right now?
The funny part is,
I'm telling you.
I mean, Activision Blizzard, they got a lot to say about it. But
oh boy,
he ain't wrong, man.
Hey, you know what he hit him with? He hit him with what was it? I don't think it was last year, but I think it was a couple of years back. Whenever they were introducing something, and so he had to get I think it was the first installment of the newest God of War, right? With when you first meet Atreus.
Yeah,
right?
The 2018
and
version.
So the voice actor for Atreus was also helping him, right? And he's like, "Are you guys ready for this?" In his deep Kratos voice, and he looks at it, and Atreus just sits there. The kid that does Atreus just sits there and doesn't open it, and then he goes, "Fine, open it, boy."
Oh yeah.
He does the Kratos, and everybody's like, "Let's go."
Mm-hmm. That was awesome.
Dude, I'm telling you, that guy's voice is incredible. And the fact that he just sits there, like I said, I mean, just joking around about it. But, anyways, welcome back to the Dragon's Well. On a more serious note, we are, coming at you with episode 26 here, I believe.
Yeah, episode 26.
And we're going to be talking about a whole bunch of stuff, right? Tons of new game trailers, tons of all sorts of new gaming news, and of course, we're going to be talking later on about about the game of the year. Actually, the whole award service as a whole. Maybe not covering every single little detail on it, but maybe the things that stood out to us. So, anyways, how's it going, Maverick?
Man, it's good.
How are you doing?
I'm great. Guys, don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We are officially now on YouTube. Like we said on the last episode, we were going to try to start pushing more videos coming start our videos and get as many as we can out. And we were going to do one each day. So we have, I think, lived up to that. Today is December 11th, so the 11th episode actually popped today. I have them scheduled all the way to the 15th for now, and plan on working on the rest of those, hopefully this week, maybe over the weekend. But, and as those, we'll continue to release those. We've gotten some feedback. Some of it has been good, some of it's been bad, some of it has been, it's funny. I give this guy a shout out. He, the first episode was kind of rough, and a lot of the beginning episodes were, it was one of those things we're still trying to kind of find our own, Well, and that's
still are, but.
And I was going to say to that, if he's continuing to listen, I know he did put at the end of his comment, he mentioned something about needing a pop filter, which, we have these now. And we've got upgraded mics and, better situation here. And, so to him, the first episode was recorded. I actually had a Shure mic for my iPhone, which I was holding in my hand the entire episode recording. So,
Oh yeah,
remember we were,
yeah, that's so classic.
oh yeah. So,
Oh man, oh
and then I
that's
was taking the audio, from both of our tracks and like merging them, and so some of the earlier episodes you'll hear where like maybe it gets out of sync just a little bit, and then it gets fixed, and that was just all part of the learning process, and I mean for being on episode 26 and us sounding better, I think that's a testament to what we're trying to do. We're trying to put forth the work and the effort to make it sound as
yeah.
good as we can for you guys.
Well, and there's only a finite amount of money that we can sink into this and things like that. As of right now, we would love to be able to make it some awesome production and
well,
really
we're
put
hoping
in,
that,
and we're working towards that. But
yeah.
it's only so much you can do with the limited amount of resources that you got. So
Well, and I think with time, it's going to get better, and I mean, I think our hearts are in the right place, and we're set on doing this, and I mean, I kind of feel called by God to talk about video games and honor Him.
absolutely.
But
Being able to connect.
yeah. Speaking of games, and game awards, I will say this: the game awards, the trailers, the world premieres, the whatever you want to call them, they've been better in the past. This year was kind of like, which I know with Nintendo, I feel like we're on a downward slide with the Switch, and there's not a whole lot else to announce, and I feel like there should have been more from PlayStation than Xbox. I think there was a good bit from Xbox, but it just wasn't. I don't know.
You know what's funny about that statement, which I agree with you, and I feel like we've been saying this and saying this and saying this, but what's so funny about this very statement, specifically about Nintendo, is the fact that we have continued to say, I think the Switch is done. I think it's the end, and they just keep popping new stuff. Like you remember earlier in the year, like the beginning of the summer, right, where we're like, hey, and then we get that insane direct that it just has like Super Mario RPG, Super Mario Wonder.
Oh yeah.
Talking about a new Peach game. Me personally, I'm in. I haven't got the opportunity to get it yet because it is $60, and it's not just something that I'm going to make. I'm just gonna buy, but eventually I would love to be able to pick up even the Dragon Quest, Pokemon like game.
Yeah. I thought you were
because
talking
I
about the
really
Peach game. I was like, you got time till March to spend to save money for that.
Yeah, no. Which I don't know. I mean, listen, if that's your cup of tea, I'm not going to knock it because it probably is going to be fairly fun.
I mean, it does look like a solid game. I mean, it really does. I mean,
what most Mario games, are the Mario genre or Mario universe style games. I mean, they hardly ever miss in terms of it actually not being fun. Right now, I mean, you might have your preference on this or that, but like the vast majority of them, like I don't know if there's anybody that can actually say that there is a Mario game that is bad. You know what I mean? Because the whole point behind them is, to it's not to be the hardest game, but it is going to be a game that you enjoy thoroughly with some challenge.
I was going to say, I heard Wonder had some challenges. I think we talked about that before, but what surprised me about we talked about that like cryptic Sega comment that they made on Twitter or X or whatever, and man, that trailer. I don't know if you had time to watch it or not, but that trailer blew me away because all those games are games that of course, back then you either had a Nintendo, either had a Sega. I mean, most families couldn't afford both, and a lot of people had Sega, and a lot of people, that was back console wars. A lot of people with Nintendos that were playing, they had a Nintendo that were playing like Mario and Duck Hunt and Mega Man and things like that, looked at the Sega Genesis and wanted games like Jet Set Radio and Shinobi and Golden Axe and Streets of Rage, Crazy Taxi. And all of those games were announced in a reimagined experience. So Jet Set Radio looks like maybe it's just got a fresh coat of paint and maybe like HD graphics. And I mean, it looks solid. It looks so much better. Shinobi, I mean, it's side scrolling. You know, it was like it was their Ninja Gaiden. You know, and so Shinobi.
Oh yeah, I actually I was several years late to the party, but I actually had a Sega, and man, it was a blast.
I was gonna say, yeah, that was way
Sega,
before you were
Sega
born.
really had Sega had a good bit of like just really fun. We didn't have a whole bunch of Sega games, but the ones we did have were super enjoyable, man. Like they're obviously you got the classic Sonics, you know, you said Golden Axe. Golden Axe is still fun. Like I hop on the Switch and we'll play Golden Axe sometimes.
Well, see, and that's
Like,
what I was excited about, because when they showed the footage for Golden Axe, it is not a side scrolling beat 'em up anymore. It's like a third person 3D RPG, like an action RPG now. And so you go running in with your buddies. I'm assuming that, you know, I mean, I don't know if you'll play couch co-op or if it'll be online. It'll most likely be online. Can you imagine playing Golden
yeah,
Axe?
I mean couch co-op is kind of a thing of the past. I wish it wasn't, because man, that's such a man.
I
Hey,
don't.
that's the type of stuff we talk about all the time.
Well, but see,
It's not fully extinct. It's not fully extinct. I know, like with the new Sonic game, I think that one's supposed to be couch co-op, right?
well, there was a game called I think it was No Way Out, where it's the two main characters are, I think they're brothers, and they're in prison, and they break out of prison, and they kind of can go on their own path. But I mean, it was meant to be a couch co-op. It's like split screen,
Yeah.
and I mean, that's how you play it. You can't play it online. I don't think. I don't imagine you play it online, but there are a lot of games. Brothers. Okay, that was one that we didn't have on our list, but no, it's not. Is it Brothers? It's a Brothers Tale. I think it may be Brothers, but you know, they got an HD remastered version. That's a couch co-op game where you and, you know, somebody else have to work together.
Yeah.
But I think
Dude,
it's
there's
so
just
neat,
such a
man.
different it's just so different to have to like to not just connect. Like I don't know, there's just a level of like um it's just not as personal anymore. Like I mean, it's still fun, don't get me wrong, and there's still a lot of like, you know, but dude, nothing beats getting together with you know some of the boys, you know, getting together with your homies, and you know sitting on a couch, or you know in a bunch of rolly chairs or whatever, you know, and just playing some video games together like
Hmm.
they're in person.
Oh yeah.
There's so many funny you know, fun and all just awesome interactions that are completely, you know, left to the by the wayside without that. And that's something that a lot of the new generation of gamers are kind of, you know, are lacking. And a lot of, you know, there's a lot of awesome nostalgic things that I'm sad to say that there's a lot of people that are never going to experience that.
Yeah, I mean, there
Right.
was.
And I've mentioned this before, you know, I mean, it's the same thing as like, you know, waiting up on Saturday mornings, you know, for the next episode of, you know, whatever show you're watching,
You're right,
you
right.
know, where it's just, or like Saturday night when, you know, you don't have internet, so it's not like you can just look up whatever, you know, anime you want to watch, but Toonami, you know, pops on Cartoon Network. You know what I'm saying?
Or
Like I
even
mean
like,
that, dude.
you know, I mean, I still remember the days of like TGIF and you know,
Hmm.
Family Matters and things like that would come on, and
Oh
you
yeah.
would sit and spend time with the family, and that is sadly a thing of the past. The
Absolutely. Well,
closest we get to doing that now is when we sit down and play Mario Party or
yeah.
Mario Kart together, or like me and one of the kids or both of them are putting together a Lego set or something. I mean it's the family dynamic has changed, which is sad. It's we try to do stuff old school around here because I mean my wife and I both lived in that time where
I think it's beneficial, man. I really do. I think you get people that are more social. I think I think you're in terms of like your kids, right? If you were to do that, obviously you have kids that are more social. You have kids that, I mean, just being honest, are going to be happier,
oh
right?
yeah for
Because
sure.
what kid doesn't want the attention or the focus of a parent, and it's sad that most parents are absent in people's lives. And I know this seems silly to talk about since we're just talking about essentially video games here, but I mean, how much sweeter would it be, even if you're trash at video games? How much sweeter is it if you just pick up a controller and start playing the game that your kid is going to play regardless, with or without you,
Oh yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And so, but anyways, I know that was a long drawn out thing that
Hey, that was
wasn't
a
really
rabbit.
scripted,
That was a
but yeah,
rabbit worth chasing.
yeah, absolutely.
Put
I
down your
just
phone and spend time with your
but
kids. Come on.
yeah, which I think we've had that rant before, but I mean, it's just reminded me of you know the fact that that's something that, like, I'm super excited. Like, Evelyn likes games already, which I'm excited about. She's actually not bad at a few of them, which is awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so you know,
Well, there you go. I mean,
but
my
anyways,
kid can beat me in Smash, so I.
yeah, your kid's pretty solid in Smash.
Well, and
But
that's
anyway,
but going back to the Sega thing. I mean, it's they all have new elements to them, updated visuals, and I think the trailer said there's like more info to come later because we didn't get a release date for anything. We didn't get this may be 10 years down the road. Who knows? That could have been all Switch 2 hardware images. We don't know. We don't know what Nintendo's got and what Sega's got up their sleeves. I feel a lot of it's going to come to PlayStation, but the next game on the list, man, I played the Legends of Mana game on Switch. It may have been Trials of Mana. I think it was Trials of Mana. But I played it on Switch. And man, it was such a good game. And they released a trailer for Visions of Mana. So it's been 15 years since a new Mana game has been released by Square. And they showed things from the Iceland area to underwater. I mean, it looks like a great adventure for, longtime fans and newcomers. And it looks like it's coming in 2024. Hopefully it won't get delayed. This is one that I'm excited about picking up on PS5 because the colors just pop. I don't see the Switch running Visions of Mana at all. Now, it may have said
yeah,
it was coming to Switch, and it looks so good. I just don't.
that's kind of a common thing, anyways, when it comes to Square games, and not to say that for lack of trying, like they try to make it work, but Square and Switch games just don't mix very well unless they're, and that's just because of the most Square games actually tend to have really good graphics,
Well, I mean,
or are just visually appealing.
Dragon
So
Quest was really good on Switch. When they released Dragon
yeah,
Quest,
yeah.
it played very
Well,
well. It had a few bugs.
you have those that are part of Square that are those specifically are more doable because they are still in that cartoon style, like where it looks good without looking realistic. Where you find a lot of Square games try to follow that theme of having that anime style, but also very like realistic
Well,
at the same time.
that's what I like about Visions of Mana because everybody's got like some kind of Dragon Ball Z hair hairdo, or I mean, it is. It's not as much. It doesn't look as much like Dragon Ball Z as say something like Dragon Quest, but it does. And it looks great. I don't know. Hopefully, we'll get some more information on it soon. I assume it's going to be action RPG like the other one was, which was great. I mean, you know, but the other PS5 game that I'm looking forward to is, and actually, it was kind of a surprise. And like I said, we're recording this on the 11th. God of War Ragnarok Valhalla actually comes out tomorrow on the 12th. So hopefully I'll get this episode out tomorrow and in time for people to listen, because the trailer, I saw the trailer. I had to go back. So as many of y'all know, we have a esports team. They have officially made it to the finals, and we're super proud of them. And I told them to clutch up so I could watch the Game Awards live, but they slipped a little bit, but they came back and clutched up at the end, and super proud of them. But I did have to go back and watch the Game Awards. I kind of had to go, but I skipped a lot of stuff I didn't really care about, I guess, and I actually ended up catching up. But come to find out, the Valhalla trailer, I saw the trailer before I actually watched it in the Game Awards, and they explain it as like a roguelike challenge where Kratos and Mimir head for the entrance of Valhalla. There's tons of challenges. It's free DLC, and it is, like I said, coming out tomorrow. So I guess I can need to update my God of War and hop in Valhalla.
Get to doing some DLC.
Yeah, and so it looks like when he dies, he goes back to the entrance, and because there was a scene in the trailer where it looks like he got hit and he died and he woke back up, so it's very much roguelike, challenge based. So it's going to be all combat, and it looks like you have all your weapons: the blades, the axe, the spear. For those that haven't played God of War, you just have to look that up, or. But we'll see. I don't know. I know you like roguelike games, so.
I do in fact like roguelike games.
Let's see.
That is my jam. I just like the randomness of it all.
Well, and that's what I feel like that's what this is going to be. I feel like there's going to be mini bosses in between, rooms of battles and stuff. I hope it turns out good. I'll have a full review on it when we do our next episode. But another game for PS5 that I'm looking forward to picking up that I think is going to look phenomenal is I keep wanting to call it Budokai, but it is Sparking Zero.
Sparking Zero.
I don't know where that name came from.
So Sparking is actually something that is a rarity in the mobile game of Dragon Ball Z. There's two official mobile games for Dragon Ball Z right now. There's Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle, which is what I play. Right. Then there's the other one, which is kind of like the fancier looking. It's not as it's not like a puzzle game or anything like that. It's like a legitimate fighting game called Dragon Ball Z Legends. And with Dragon Ball Z Legends, I mean, it's still a gacha game, right? You pull for units and whatnot. And the rarity, which now they have even higher ranks, but beforehand, the highest rank, well, in the other one, in Dragon Ball Z Legends, that one has a rarity that much like other ones, right? You can pull a rare, you can pull an uncommon, rare, things like that. And so, for a long time, the highest rarity you can pull is what they would call sparking.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay.
You would pull a sparking unit, and which now you can pull, I think, like URs, which is like 3 or 4 in the game. So they're like super rare. and normally their stats tend to be way better. You know, it's a gotcha game, right? They try to get your money so that you can pull it. But
Right, right.
yeah, so that's where they get it. You know,
Okay.
sparking is from that, and I think it even started before that. I'm fairly certain it even started before that. But
Well, I was
yeah,
shocked that because I mean I figured like the first time they announced it, um, which we knew it was kind of coming. I mean they kind of teased it a little
yeah, they
bit.
announced it earlier. Yeah,
Yeah, but they didn't show any footage. It was just like this
no,
is
it's just
coming,
Goku. Yeah,
and so
which everybody thought it was going to be a new Budokai. Like it was actually going to be a Budokai.
yeah, which I mean it is essentially. I mean
Yeah,
it's similar to like the what were they the PlayStation 2, 3, 2. The last one
two.
I think was on 2.
Yeah,
But you know, I
Budokai
mean,
3 was the last one they
I,
had, and then
I'm
they went to Tenkaichi.
yes, yes, and but you know sticks to that same similar format, kind of what Xenoverse was it Xeno yeah Xenoverse picked up, and so man I'm excited I can't wait I hope that the online is good enough to like esports level good enough.
Oh, really?
I
Oh,
do.
I, I honestly, I think that from what I've gathered, I've heard a few things about it. I've heard that first off, um, the character selection is massive. Like you're going to be able to, you're going to be able to pick from a large array of of characters. And one thing that I think a lot of people are gonna like and dislike, me personally, I'm gonna like. And I don't. I've never played Xenoverse, but I'm not the biggest fan of just having like your own customizable character, whatnot. Like, I mean, it's cool, I guess. And I know that that's the whole point. That was the biggest draw to Xenoverse was,
Well, it
everything's online, everything's supposed to be like, this way. It's supposed to be like almost like an MMO RPG,
well
but Dragon Ball Z, kind of.
the problem was Xenoverse, and I mean we got some esports kids that have sunk probably 1,000 hours into that game. The thing about Xenoverse is I like the story aspect of it. But it all
Yeah,
plays off of the time police, like the time patrol, you know, so it's
yeah.
Trunks and the time patrol and I mean so they've
Hmm.
done that in a couple of games and then they've done it in both Xenoverse games and then they did it in oh what was the new Breakers. They did it in Breakers. So
Yeah.
last month for one of the PlayStation free games was Breakers. I downloaded it, popped it in, played it for 5 minutes, and turned it back off because it just I don't know it ran like garbage. And I'm hoping I feel like with Sparking Hope. I mean Bandai Namco they have hits and misses all the time. Very few misses, but every once in a while they do have a game that just isn't up to par. And I hope Sparking Zero is not one of them. The trailer was a full fight between Goku and Vegeta. It was a mix of,
Which looks amazing, by
oh
the way.
yeah, oh yeah, and I mean, I did read the fine print, and it did say it was a mix of cutscenes and gameplay, and you could see the gameplay in spots, and I mean, it just looks phenomenal. I hope that it takes that level of like detail that we got from Kakarot, and
Hmm.
a little bit more maybe complex fighting style because Xenoverse is pretty. Xenoverse and Kakarot are a lot alike in the combat. And so I hope they go a little bit above and beyond with the combat. Maybe not. I want to say something more like fighters, but maybe I guess it's hard to pull those rolling combos
I
with the
well,
sticks.
I
With
tell you, and see, I don't know if this is just nostalgia talking or what, but I tell you what I kind of miss is I kind of miss that side scroll style like you saw in Budokai. Because and even in Tenkaichi was still enjoyable, but the issue that I had a lot when it came to Tenkaichi was I was so accustomed to the Budokai way of playing, which it was just you're scrapping, you're trying to get your combos in, and but it's still just you and them, Mortal Kombat style, where where it's
So did you ever play
it's
fighters?
just yeah, so I've never played fighters, but it's like fighters. Yeah, I mean it's just fighters is more advanced, right? I mean there's
Yeah, I
fighters,
mean,
so it's gonna be
it's
a little
more like a
weird,
Street
but
Fighter, like an old Street Fighter.
fighter, yeah, exactly. That's what I was about to say. Fighters, added some different elements and whatnot, but it fighters plays more like Street Fighter, where I think the old Budokai plays more like Mortal Kombat was then.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
That
with the
would be my
button
comparison to
combos
the
and
two.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, the button combinations and and just the way that how smooth everything was, right? So like fighters and Street Fighter always you it needs to play a little smoother, right? Not as choppy as you'll see in Budokai. Right? Budokai was a little bit more choppy. Like there's delays to things,
hmm
right? Where you're not going to see that nearly as much in fighters, right? Because it's just a steady pace, just the same, and
I
it's a newer game,
I
right?
was
So it's not
yeah.
going to have as many
Well, I was gonna
combos.
say, I mean, the load time for Dragon Ball Fighters is really long. Even on PlayStation, it's horrid how long it is. But once you get into the fight, everything runs really smooth. I mean, there is like it almost feels like there's an input delay on Switch, but I actually own it on PlayStation 4 and Switch. And I mean, I play the Switch version more, but it is. I mean, it's a phenomenal game, and I mean, I love Dragon Ball Fighters. I wish they would pick it up as an esport as well because it is a popular online. It's something that
I'll be
you
honest with
you
you.
could play.
I am surprised that they don't have one. It isn't one, I should say, because it is an extremely like it really is. It's one of the more popular Dragon Ball games right now. But
Hmm
I'm a huge Dragon Ball Z fan, or just Dragon Ball in general fan. Right? I love all. And listen, call me what you will. I even enjoyed GT. I like GT.
Yeah, I
I know
mean,
a lot of people were like, I hate that garbage, but I'm kind of like I just enjoy it, right? I mean, I just enjoy watching, now is it my favorite? No, and the older I've gotten when it comes to like watching anime, I definitely, have I'm definitely more centered towards like the story much rather than just like solid fights, which you don't get nearly as much with Dragon Ball Z or just the Dragon Ball series in general, right? The story is never going to be the huge compelling factor as to why you watch the show.
well, and that's the
I
thing. I
mean,
mean,
it goes hand in hand with it, but
yeah, and
or why you play the game.
GT wasn't bad. It just was, and I will
Oh,
say
it had
it's
its tilting moments. I'll say that too, because there are some times where I'm just like, "Are you kidding me right now? Like,
mhm.
why would man, I just hate like sometimes I'm just like, why would this ever happen? Like,
I
how
mean,
come?
Baby
Like, go.
is one of the. I mean, Baby was
Oh,
awesome.
he's terrifying. Yeah, Baby was such a cool character, man.
Hmm
Like that was such a terrifying arc because I mean, literally, like it was one of the few times you actually see. I mean, it reminded me a lot of Boo, where you just literally see everybody just get bodied. Like, with Cell, the threat was there, but Cell and his game, his Cell games, he reserved from destroying everybody.
Yeah.
With the sands, the same thing. Like the collateral was met right there in the plains area, where they were just like, hey, they stopped them before they got to any cities. Uh, Besides what Napa did to that one city, R.I.P. Um,
Well, it came
but
back.
you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I mean, listen, Dragon Ball diff, you know. So,
I don't
but
know, man.
anyways,
I'm a
I just I am too. I'm super duper pumped about it. I cannot wait.
That's definitely going on the list. I haven't made my mind up if I'm going to do another New Year's resolution like I did last year because that was kind of tough to get through. But I do know that I do have. I've started making my list. There's a lot of Nintendo games on there. We'll probably end up picking up Mario and Donkey Kong, Mario vs Donkey Kong. Luigi's Mansion's definitely on the list. Some other stuff like that, which is weird because we didn't see anything from Nintendo. But another game that was shown, and I'm super worried about this one because, and I know that if they do it, I mean, rightfully so. Sony owns the rights to Spider-Man, and as such, Spider-Man is basically on PlayStation and PC.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like this next game, it's being made by Bethesda. They said it is a third person action RPG. It takes place in Paris, where Blade is actually fighting the creatures of the night. And the trailer showed no gameplay. It showed just it showed a cinematic of Blade like getting his cleaned up, getting his shaving cleaned up or whatever. And the
Wesley Snipes.
Snipes does. He kind of looks like
Wesley Snipes does.
And the dude cuts him. He cuts himself, and he's like, and he sits up and he's like, I'm not one of those. Or something.
I'm Blade. Blade does what Blade wants.
But he's going to be in Paris, so it's kind of weird.
Blade is Wesley Snipes.
Blade is absolutely Wesley Snipes.
Is Blade. Blade does what Blade wants.
That's right.
Blade wants a ham and cheese sandwich. Blade can't have no ham and cheese sandwich because Blade's a vampire.
That's right.
Blade's sad.
Blade is sad. What was the blue juice in the movie that like
Blade don't like vampire? Oh yeah, I don't remember that. I mean I remember I know what you're talking about. Hey, can we talk about that for a second, bro? Why are the vampires so scary in that one, man?
In the first one?
Which listen, hey, shout out to my parents who didn't care what I watch. Haha. Yeah, should have never watched that as a kid. Like dude, that was terrifying. Like it was the second one, the second Blade, right? Where like their mouth opens up.
Oh, that was the best one too. Yeah, that was the second one.
Dude,
that was
phenomenal. One was so scary. The fact that like their mouth opens up like they're predators, but they're vampires.
Yeah, and they just tongue start, that latched on.
Dude, no. Oh man, that's so. It was, dude. As a kid watching that, and I was just like, "Why am I allowed to watch this?"
See, I must have been a sick individual because as a child, because
dude,
I enjoyed stuff like that. That was really cool.
It was. I told you this before about Mortal Kombat, man. I couldn't watch it. It was just too gory, and I'm not like I don't have a weak stomach, man. I don't have like
Mortal
a weak
Kombat wasn't gory. The movies were not. The first two movies.
No,
were not gory,
I'm not talking about the movie.
You're talking about the game. Oh, okay.
Yeah, the games were rough, man.
Man,
seeing people like the spines break and them get ripped out, and then you got people like Melina and Barack. America. Michelle.
Shout out
to the first couple episodes. Michelle. No, dude, Baracus. Dude, those guys are scary, man.
Man, look.
I tell you what it is. It's a mouth thing with me. I guess that's like looking at all of the cases that I've brought so far. It's a mouth thing, man. It's the vampires opening up in Blade. The Barack in his mouth.
So
Melina and her mouth. Like it's just a mouth thing, man. It's like if you're a human being, but you have giant like razor sharp teeth that wants to bite my face off, I just have a problem with that.
Look, you know what?
I don't know what it is.
Every time
I'm like, nah.
every time Obama opened his mouth, I got sick to my stomach too. You can keep your own
Hey,
insurance. You can keep your insurance. Somebody
yeah.
lied.
Somebody, yeah. At the low price of $700 worth of fine,
Oh yeah,
cheaper just to buy insurance than it is to, you know.
well, not anymore. I mean, now if we still had the
No.
fine, it'd be cheaper to pay the fine.
True.
Oh,
But back then, but
true that.
yeah, Blade, he's cool.
Well, look, while we're
Blade does what Blade wants.
while we're roasting things here, and talking about things
Blade
that
works
scared
for
us in our
Bethesda now.
childhood. Yeah, that's the thing. And since Bethesda's owned by Microsoft, it's probably going to be a Microsoft exclusive. It'll be an Xbox exclusive.
Money. Blade works for Bethesda. Bethesda works for Microsoft.
Blade sold them.
Blade is now Blade Jobs.
Well, do you ever remember a game called Primal Rage?
Yeah,
I think
I do.
there was monsters, right? And so
Yeah.
it was terrifying because my brother and I played it one night when my mom was working. She was a nurse and had she was on her way home. She worked, like an hour and a half away, and she was not home yet. And it was probably about this time, where it was getting darker and stuff in the earlier. And my brother and I are playing it, big honking cabinet CRT TV, and we're sitting there playing Primal Rage. Well, we look up, and the back patio was just an empty back patio, and we had this big, huge sliding glass door. And all you could see out there was darkness. And it was terrifying. And so we're playing this game. We had to turn it off because we kept looking at that window and it was freaking us out. So that's a childhood memory that haunts me. But
Dude, I tell you what it is too. Those older games had such weird, like color palettes.
yeah,
And
that's probably what it was.
dude, the color palettes would because it's some of them have some like creepy looking backgrounds that like make the aesthetic of the game like even more like it adds to it.
Right.
So
right.
I know what you're talking about.
Well, since we're roasting
Blade
people too,
Blade understands.
Blade understands.
Sorry.
Look,
he has become a character, an alias that I resonate with now. Blade has sympathy.
Blade has sympathy. Okay, so I'm gonna open this up because I'm gonna read some of this stuff here. I added some stuff. So, all right, look, it's apparent that Baldur's Gate was on several lists and won lots of awards. Player's Voice was Baldur's Gate 3. We're not going to go into all of the Game of Year stuff. I was shocked that Best Esports Game went to Valorant. I figured that would go to League, but it did go to Valorant. Most anticipated game out of Hades 2, Like a Dragon, Star Wars Outlaws, Tekken 8, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. We figured it was going to go to Final Fantasy, which it did.
Yeah.
Best adaptation. Okay, so they had one that was like best video game adaptation into, like a series, a movie, whatever. And I'm sitting here and I'm looking at this list, and it's got Twisted Metal, which I heard was really good, The Last of Us, Gran Turismo, Castlevania, the Super Mario Brothers movie. Now, you would think that the Mario movie, which has been the best video game movie adaptation that I believe I've ever seen. Sonic was a pretty good, but it would have been better without the humans. The second one was a lot better because it had less humans. I mean, Robotnik was Castlevania Nocturne is even on this list, and The Last of Us won it, which I heard The Last of Us was good, but I don't know.
I think The Last of Us is good. Yeah, for sure. Does it deserve? I don't know about winning all that though.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it should have been Castlevania or Mario.
I don't. The thing about Castlevania, it can't be Castlevania, right? Just because Castlevania doesn't actually follow much of, because there's not actually a lot of substance to Castlevania from the games. I mean, there's
Well,
some storyline,
yeah,
but
but
there's just so many ways that you can go with it. Where and that's exactly what they did. And boy, I mean, it was fantastic. Both so far with Nocturne as well as the actual Castlevania itself.
yeah.
The I mean, both of them were incredible, but none of the. I mean, there wasn't like source material for any of those. Like those were original storylines that they came up with.
Yeah, I just feel like
You
Mario
know,
should have won that.
I agree. I 100% agree. I think Mario, like, just the sheer thought alone that went into that movie is but here's my thing too, is like I'm not a big fan of the fact that they're adding series with movies. Like, what is they're if they're gonna do, best adaptation, they need to do separate things, because it's like, how are you going to compare a series, that could be however many episodes long,
Yeah, I mean, you're talking
you
about 10
know?
hours of Last of Us to compared to an hour and a
Yeah,
half movie.
absolutely. Like, I mean, how does that even compare? Like, yeah, no wonder. Yeah, you have 10 times the amount of time to be able to express and develop this adaptation,
Hmm.
where we are set at a hard limit because it's a movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't make sense. That I mean, I know a lot of people say this often about comparing apples to oranges, but that's exactly what that is. I mean,
Yeah,
you can't do that. I mean, they're two separate things.
I agree.
So,
Well, and
but anyways,
but like best multiplayer went to Baldur's Gate. I mean, obviously out of the ones that they had, I mean, Diablo's not doing so great, but I mean, Baldur's Gate was going to win that. Best simulation strategy. I was excited because I didn't really actually pay attention. I think, well, I did when I voted, and I voted for Advance Wars because Advance Wars was on the list. Fire Emblem Engage was on the list, a couple others, and then Pikmin 4 won. So Nintendo, I mean, Nintendo did pretty well. Best family game went to Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
good,
Best
good.
fighter went to Street Fighter 6, which I was actually kind of shocked. I figured it would go to Mortal Kombat 1, but it went to Street Fighter.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it had a more of an influence in terms of like streamers as well. There was a
Yeah.
lot. There was a lot of bigger. I'll tell you what. Actually, you a lot of bigger Super Smash Brothers streamers, like some of the top tier pros, took a break from Smash like a month after that dropped.
Well, it's been a
Like, I
long
know
time since
Riddles.
we actually got
Oh,
a new Street Fighter.
oh yeah, so they were eating it up. So that one actually doesn't surprise me as much.
Best role
Yeah,
playing went to Baldur's Gate 3. Best
yeah,
action.
100%.
Well, and I was a little shocked by that one because this was a solid list. So it was Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 16,
Hmm.
Lies of P, Sea of Stars, and Starfield. Now, Starfield had no business on that list, but
Yeah, I mean,
Sea of
it's just
Stars, I mean, for being like a lower budget game, I mean, they did. I mean, it sold like crazy. I mean, people are still buying that game. I have not yet. I want to pick it up
well,
because the demo
it's
was
just
amazing.
as awesome and as great as all of those games are, and there probably is a lot of like ability to role play. It just can't compete against. None of those can compete against Baldur's Gate, because I mean the whole premise behind that game is literally you decide what you want to do.
Yeah,
Right?
right,
I mean, there's preset things, but I mean it's the closest we've seen actually being able to play D&D, but in game form.
right, right.
And so it's just, and that's all D&D is role playing. I mean, it's just imagination. You just, you run with it, right? However you want your character to be, you do that. If you want your character to be trans, hey, I've been there. Not on purpose, but
Okay,
man, I'm telling you,
so
dude,
look,
that
that
the moment that happened, boy, listen, I was just heated that like they were just like, nah, you can't. I just sank in 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours into the game, and they're like, hey, by the way, you can't turn back now. Like you can't. I mean,
so it's
after it's
not very
done.
realistic because I mean they change all the time, don't they?
I mean, it depends on their chromosomes that day, really. If they're feeling more X than Y, you know what I'm saying?
I could quote Lady Ballers right now, but I'm not.
Lady, get old Benny boy up here.
We might have to flag this
Oh,
episode as not family friendly if I quote Lady Ballers.
Benny boy Shapiro.
Look,
Technically,
best action
no, but
adventure went to Legend of Zelda. I mean, it was up against a bunch. I mean, for what it was up against, Alan Wake 2, Spider Man 2, Resident Evil 4. I was a little shocked about that one, but since I mean, obviously, by now people know that it didn't take Game of the Year, but so I was glad to see it
yeah,
win something. It should have won something. Best action game went
sure.
to Armored Core 6. I can't believe people played that long because I heard it was an extremely hard, difficult game.
I heard that too, but not in like a good, challenging way, and kind of like a awful balancing type of way. Is what I heard.
Right. Well, hey, your
Where they were just like, this is not enjoyable to play.
did you see your Honkai Star Rail won best mobile game?
Oh yeah, I was. So I did not see that actually, but I am not surprised by any means
I,
because
and I,
I
and I,
mean it's Honkai is really good, man. It really is. Listen. I had to drop it. Uh, I had to drop it because first off, I was putting way too many hours into it.
mm-hmm.
And second off, I realized that what I was doing um, was not going to stop anytime soon in terms of sinking in. Like, not only was I sinking in the hours, but I already had hours in advance to sink in more.
Right, right.
And so I looked at that and I'm like, dude, this is taking up way too much of my life. Not only that, but like the pull rates were abysmal for me, and I just refused to drop money into it. So I'm
Yeah.
like, in a game like that, it's like the pull rates were really bad for me, which means I'd have to restart everything. And I'm like, I invested like 30 plus hours into this game in like a week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
was yeah, I mean, it was bad. Like I invested a lot of time into this.
Well,
Even to the point where like I was farming for gear. Like I was gear farming. Like I was in WoW or something, man.
hey,
Like
don't be
I
knocking don't
was
be
I was
knocking my World of
re-rolling.
Warcraft now. I done loaded that back
No, but
up.
I mean, like that's the kind of I was investing that in a mobile game, like a game that fits in your pocket. And I'm like, let's do this.
Hey, you know
But
what?
like voice acting, the soundtrack. Listen, I wish I wish everybody can experience it and at least just have like an innate knowledge of the first like world that you go through, because the boss at the final boss for the first world is Honkai Star Rail. You you go through this awesome action sequence that has like some great cutscenes, and then when you like and you fight and you go through like two or three different phases in the boss, and the final phase, there is a part where the music is scheduled to hit at a certain part, and when it hits, bro, it is one of the most like mind melting moments in that I've ever played in a game. Like the music hits and you're like, what is this epicness that's going on right now? It was amazing.
That's
Like
awesome.
when it was insane that
Hey, I
when that with that soundtrack.
I will say, man, the music can make and break a game. It really can. I mean, if the
Dude, I was
music is
like, this
amazing,
is crazy.
well, that's what I liked about Sea of Stars. It had such like a. I mean, it had like an old retro look to it with retro music, but it was still like newer and kind of upbeat. And So I wanted to see it win something, and thankfully it won Best Indie Game. But man, that's the thing. You get the right kind of music in there, and it's amazing.
It was something else. When all of that hit, I it I kind of didn't know how to respond to it. To be honest with you, I was like,
Well,
"What is
look,
happening right now?"
you you went off and threw a rabbit, and I gotta chase it for a minute. You know what I think would be a cool episode? I know we were all, last week we were talking about your dad wanting to get into World of Warcraft again, or get into World of Warcraft, and we talked to your brother, and he's been wanting to get back into it. You know what I think would be cool is to do an episode, like a full episode where we live stream creating characters and starting our World of Warcraft adventure.
I mean, I would for sure be down.
If my internet would hold up, if it would hold up to do that, I think that would be amazing. That would be awesome. Just an hour character creation. Let everybody create the character. That not at the same time, but just one at a time. Everybody create their character, and maybe do some kind of like special or something like that. I think that'd be cool. But going back to this list, best community support, Baldur's Gate 3 again, and here's where I had a problem. Okay, so they go to announce the best ongoing game, right? And so the list was Apex Legends, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, Genshin Impact, Cyberpunk 2077. So I don't think Cyberpunk should have been on the list. How did it win?
Yeah, that's wild. I don't know about all that.
Well, here's my theory. My theory is that apparently
Money was involved. No.
Well, I mean, okay, so that could be an argument. That could be an argument, or what irked me so much was the guy gets up there and he's like, "Oh, well, thank you for keeping this alive, and thank you for this, and thank you for all the memes." And I'm like, the memes that were making fun of the game that you didn't finish before you released it. So you had cars driving through the street, and I mean,
hit them with it.
Oh man, I mean the list is enormous. I mean, this had more bugs than Mortal Kombat 1 for Switch.
Hit them with it.
I mean, let it bake a little more. That baby wasn't done.
Put that baby back in the oven.
I mean,
dude, I'm telling you, right now.
That thing came out looking like Ice Cube at the end of Total Mayhem Ninja Turtle movie.
Well,
do you even? I was going to ask. Do you even know what that looks like?
I do not. I know he was Superfly, right?
So he was Superfly, but he got in the ooze at the end, and he fell in the ocean, and he comes out, and he's like, "Oh look, I got a horse for feet," and he had like 8 horses on his as his leg, like 8 or 9 horses at the bottom of his feet. A whale head. I mean, he had all these animals, like because he does that, and then he falls into a zoo, and now he's got like tons of animals all over. I mean, man, I don't know. That movie was something else. My buddy recommended it. He's like, the animation's good. I'm like, yeah, the animation's good. The movie sucks.
The movie not as good as the animation.
But with all the other wins, BG3 wins Game of the Year. I'm okay with that. I mean, I got people that play it, and y'all are enjoying it, and
Yeah, I mean, we need to finish it because we barely even scratched the surface
I
on the
was gonna
game.
say
So,
y'all gonna be on that campaign as long as you are your last D&D campaign, aren't you?
bro, we hey, tell it to my older brother, telling him to get on top of things.
Yeah.
Uh, because yeah, we need to finish that one because we've been on that one for like 5, 6 years. So I think it's been 5 years now. But yeah, we need to get off of that one. Finish that so we can start a new one, preferably. It would be really, really fun.
Yeah.
But no, we need BG3, man. We need to play it some more. We Who knows? We might play it tonight. I don't know, but
Well, man,
I'm glad that it won. It really it. In all honesty, it probably deserves it. Um, I know you like Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom's great.
well,
Spider Man
we talked
seemed
about
amazing.
we
Uh,
yeah, I see what you did there.
I Yeah, but at the end of the day, I think both of them, the issue that you find in both of them, is eventually it's going to Spider-Man more so than Tears of the Kingdom, but eventually you're going to come to a point in the games where it's still very linear,
Well, I
right?
mean,
There's still it's still there's still obviously the main missions and stuff, and the same to a degree could be said about Baldur's Gate. But the thing about Baldur's Gate is you don't have to do the main quest. I mean, you can literally go anywhere and do anything that you want to do. Like if we want, I mean, listen, we're struggling to try to like figure out what we're going to do next because we're like, do we want to go over here? Do we want to go do this? Do we just want to run around and
well, that's what your
fight stuff?
barbarian does, and is it just run around in circles and
Bro, our barbarian thinks he's the diplomat of the group. He's like, let me talk to him. I'm like, sir, you don't even know how to spell things. Like, what do you mean? Like, you don't even know your name half the time. Like, what? Yeah, how are you going to talk to anybody? And of course, then we got my guy that just is trying to keep everybody just you know vibing, and then we got my brother that's just stab happy and playing his rogue. So he's like, should I kill him? And I'm like, Chuck, calm down, sir. We're just asking him. Listen, he just walked up and asked if we want a thing of cabbages, man.
he's just trying to do what that other guy did in what was that game we talked about where the guy tried to like kill every NPC in the game that was killable.
Oh, that was Skyrim.
Yeah, it was Skyrim. I saw that was a tweet that we saw come out.
Skyrim.
Well, man, I'm glad BG3 won. I'm glad for y'all, and I hope that y'all get to kind of work that out. I did want to do a couple little possible mentions here at the end. We had. I mean, we're gonna talk about these more as more information is released. But some trailers we saw were Black Myth Wukong, which looks amazing. We'll just have to see when more comes out. Kojima released or announced a new game, OD, I think is what it was called. The Rise of Ronin looks fairly good. It's a samurai type game. Jurassic Park Survival. That was an old game that they were trying to make, and they ended up scrapping the project, and now they've completely redone it, and it's going to come out 2024, I think. And so there's a person left on the island that has to survive, obviously, survival. Monster Hunter Wilds, I'm excited about that. It looks like it's going to be like Monster Hunter World, just in a different kind of area. That may be one that we have to pick up and run together. And then they released the two new, well, I guess the three new things in Fortnite. And so they released Lego Fortnite, which plays a lot like, I mean, you would think it's like a Lego Fortnite Minecraft kind of thing. It's actually pretty fun. I sunk about probably 6-7 hours into it, and it is.
It
It looks
looks
fun.
fun. Yeah.
A lot of the skins actually transfer over to. I've got some Marvel skins, like I've got Ghost Rider and Spider Man and Green Goblin, and they actually all transform over to Lego. I was sad my Optimus Prime did not, but it's okay. Vader didn't, which was kind of weird because they already have a Vader Lego
Yeah. I mean,
character.
that's super
So,
weird.
but they said they're going to move more over. Rocket Racing, so it's basically Rocket League, Fortnite, Mario Kart. So it's just racing with your character in Fortnite in a Rocket League car. You can actually switch and like drive up on the roof. You have to boost and things like you would in Rocket League, which is I mean it's fairly fun. I've you know kind of dominated the runway, and then they released. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it's essentially Guitar Hero for Fortnite. So you sit up there, you get to pick your drums, bass, guitar, vocals, and you get like 5 or 6 free songs or something like that. And I'm assuming songs will be part of the battle pass for Fortnite. But
Yeah.
everything will build up to your level. So all 4 of these modes, you've got your normal zero build, which I play, and then the 3 other ones I just mentioned. They all have quests and stuff in them, so that the more you play them, the more it bumps up your battle pass level, and you can purchase stuff through the battle pass if you purchase the battle pass, I guess. So, but I don't know. It's Fortnite is evolving very quickly and in a good way, I think. So I even have my little one wanting to play for Lego Fortnite now. So, but other than that, man,
That's
I don't know.
that's what
I think that's about it.
we got. Listen, we got a lot of awesome things that are happening right now in the gaming community. You obviously you see. I mean, you've heard all of our takes. We'd love to hear you guys's. If I've actually heard from a few people this week as to what some of um, their game of the year picks is, and that's also the thing about video games too is even if they didn't get nominated, I mean to you it could feel different, right? And it's just based off of how that game has impacted you this year. So for instance, I mean there's one um, that was mentioned that it isn't even like remotely close to being something considered to be game of the year, but to them it was because of how much enjoyment they got from the game.
Right.
And I think that one was called the Halls of Torment or something like that, which is kind of like the vampire survival style game,
Okay.
right? Which is just a very simple game, right? One that you've seen on just about every platform now or every console now, but uh, you know, and just they enjoyed it, and so to them, they got so much enjoyment out of it that they believed that you know, it was his favorite
Well, and
game of the year. So
I was gonna say, your brother's probably excited. I'm assuming he saw the trailer drop, but there's a new Warhammer game coming out.
oh yeah, yeah. So you see something like that. Um, that's just one of my favorite. I think one of my favorite things about video games too is just the fact that it doesn't matter who you are. I mean, there's so many video games out there that have a way of connecting with everybody.
Yeah, I
So
mean, the
you know,
community, the gaming community offers something for everybody, and I think that's where we're very fortunate that in a we're gonna get a little preachy here, but in a world that offers, I guess, in a word, so much trash in the world that you can always fall back, and that's what I love with the kids. I mean, we watch TV show and it adds something that we don't really care for or we don't want our kids to see. We can always fall back on Nintendo and know that, like, that wholesome Nintendo Mario game, or that wholesome, not a Mario Party, Mario Kart, or I mean, even Legend of Zelda. I mean, something like that. That you can always fall back on something that's family friendly that hasn't been quite corrupted yet.
Yeah. Well, especially, I'm glad that you brought that up because one thing that we're seeing a lot of, even more so, is actually oneness, right? You have a lot of people that want that. Well, in the Western culture, well, a lot in Eastern cultures as well. Um, you're seeing a lot of a, you're seeing a shift in societies where you have people that want, or you have these societies that are demanding that people are of the same mind on things,
Right.
and are trying to get rid of, and when I speak more specifically in the Western, world, because that's the world in which we live in. But and so we see that one more than the other. But in saying all that, I mean, you have a lot of things trying to force us to be a specific way about. I think of a specific way about things, and almost we're almost got to a point where it's almost illegal to think of any, or to have thoughts of your own on matters, right? I
Yeah.
mean, to the
Right.
point where it's becoming hate crimes and things like that, even when you mean no harm to anybody. It's just, and so the issue that you're having, and that's, and it even branches, it affects everything, right? It's not just talking about the way that society looks at things, but even it starts corrupting even video games in general. What would be an acceptable thing, and what isn't an acceptable thing, and to be able to put it in your game. What's going to cause you to what like we saw it in Hogwarts, right? I mean, they tried to cancel it for
Right.
no reason.
Right.
And so
And it
it's getting to
ended
the
up
point
having
now
a
where
character
there's,
in it that kind of
yeah.
promoted what they, and I'll say this, I mean, it's reached things that, I mean, okay, BG3 for example. I mean, you played 4 hours and didn't realize you were a girl. So, I mean,
Right.
but beyond that, so I told you I loaded World of Warcraft back up, and I went to create we talked about our roles that we were going to fill in our group or whatever, and I told you that I wanted to do the undead priest, and so I go to create my character, and I notice at the top that they've changed the symbols. That it's not male female anymore. Because used to they'd have the little male symbol and the female symbol, and it was male female, right? And so
Yeah.
now
It's,
when I
yes.
highlighted that, when I went up there to highlight that, now it's body one, body two.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's little subtle changes like that in the end it doesn't really mean anything, but it does.
But I mean, the issue with that too, though, is why? Like, why does it? Why does this? What what is it hurting anybody?
Yeah, right.
That you see this and you're like, because even if you identify, even if you're not, but you identify with somebody else, of the other, um, you know, sex
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, like, why does that matter to you? You know what I mean? Like, like, you could, if you identify as this other sex, then just click the other. You know how many gamers don't identify that way and just identify with the gender that they're biologically given,
Yeah.
or biologically have, and but they choose to play the other gender character.
I was gonna
You know what I mean?
say,
Like,
do
I
you know
mean,
how many
that's
times I
like,
get
there's
shot
so
and
many guys that are like, "Hey, I'm gonna pick the girl option." You know
yeah.
what I mean? And it's a common thing that happens all the time in video games.
Well, I
So it's
mean,
like, why is it such a big deal?
I can't tell you how many times I've got shot in Fortnite by some, you know,
Yeah.
female character when I know it's probably some 8-year-old kid on the other, some little 8-year-old dude on the other side of the screen that's, having one of his little sweaty pop off moments. And
I don't know why, but like I just hear Bart Simpson in the background when you're explaining this whole scenario. I'm just
oh no,
you know
that was a Bart.
as getting pop-
That was
no, that's not Bart. That's who's that? That's the little bully kid,
yeah,
right?
yeah, 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 yeah.
They're like, it's actually super sad. What is his name? I know who you're talking about.
Hang on.
But like the kid that's just
Yeah.
in the background of everything.
Nelson. That was Nelson. Nelson
Nelson.
Muntz.
Old Nelson.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Nelson.
anyways, guys, I know we've kind of been all over the place with this, but the point that we're trying to make in all of it is there's some pretty awesome things that we have in gaming that I hope we never kind of take it for granted, because at the end of the day, it there's something for everybody to be able to celebrate in.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure.
But in saying that, that's all I have. I think that's all Maverick has here. So, guys, we're going to do what we normally do. We're going to go ahead and pray us out. If you guys have anything, let us know in terms of prayer requests, in terms of just leaving comments down below. Maybe telling us if you have a different pick as to what your game of the year was. Even if it didn't make the nominees, let us know. We'd love to hear you guys' takes on everything. That really helps us out.
Yeah, and now that we're on YouTube, go this. We will launch. We have also launched podcasts on our podcasts on YouTube, so they actually update on a normal time. But I will continue to pump out the videos but go back and listen to some old episodes and let us know what you think. I mean, if you think we ought to change the formula, you think we ought to change things up, maybe we're not as funny as we think we are. We've gotten some good comments. We've gotten some, we got a comment that said, please stop uploading. And we're not going to do that. We love what we do, and we're going to continue to do it. And if you don't want to listen, that's fine. But, just maybe one of your friends wants to listen. So share it with them before you stop listening. So,
yeah.
But no, check us out on YouTube. I am responding to comments on YouTube. So, pop in there, give us a comment. I'll respond. It may take a day or so, but I will for sure respond. And if there's anything we can do, prayer requests or whatever, like Sprite said, anything that we can do, we will do it.
Anyways, thank you guys for listening so far. Let's go ahead and let's bow and pray us out. Father God, thank you so much for today. We thank you for this opportunity we have to be able to have another great recording session. And Lord, we pray that we lift up your name in all of this. We pray that we're able to make an impact on the people that are listening. God, help us to be able to represent you clearly. And God, help us to be people of compassion, people of love, but also help us to be people that stand on our truths and allow us never to compromise in that. And God, we ask that if whatever the needs are of everybody listening to today, Lord, we ask that you just meet each and every one of their needs, if it be your will. And God, we love you and we thank you, and we pray all this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Well, guys, we really enjoy it. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Peace out.